ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Season 3 of Fortnightly Frontier, where we talk and basically bullshit about Star Citizen. I am your host, Darinator, and I'm unfortunately not joined by my regular co-host, Lucianette. However...
Rip.
However, I am joined by a good friend, Meyer of Test, twitch.tv/Meyer_test, I believe your full name is?
Meyer.
Just Meyer.
Yes. Well, my Twitch TV name is Meyer_test because Test is best. And because Meyer was taken.
If you've watched this show before, welcome back. But if you haven't watched it before, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You have no idea what you're getting into. Anyway, welcome to 2016. 2016, or 2946 as it is in canon, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. Now, yes. I was like, what's he on about? Yeah, 2946. We're finally in the year of release, apparently, according to like all the in-game paraphernalia and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Would be interesting if that was to happen. However, I'm afraid it won't unless they've been keeping a lot of development stuff away from us.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors.
Speaking of development stuff, I'm looking forward to that surprise that Aaron Roberts kind of like inkled towards in the last Around the Verse. He said that with a new patch coming out next week, there will be a surprise.
There is something we haven't seen. What could it be?
You know, I don't know. The last time they said there was going to be a surprise, well, they gave us 2.0 and a couple of ships. They gave us the Starfarer, didn't they?
Yes, and the last time they said they were going to give us something we haven't seen, they showed us Pupil to Planets.
That was amazing, though.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Can we get that in 2.2, please? Pretty please.
Can you imagine if that's the surprise? I mean...
you know what? At this point, I just want the surprise to be actual stable gameplay.
Surprise! It works! Nah, I'm not holding my breath for that, man. I mean, I'm still expecting crashes and stuff like that once we, push over to live from 2.1 PTU, but...
Do you think what's keeping them from going live in 2.1 is actual the AI interfering with server latency and shit that's actually causing lag and FPS drops?
Well, that kind of has been a recurring kind of issue that they've brought about in the reports every now and then. They kept saying things like, they've tried to fix an issue where like NPCs respawning causes an issue where the server kind of like dies, and I've seen some streamers like when they die, instead of respawning in Port Olisar, they respawn with all the NPCs like waiting to respawn, like in this like weird kind of limbo nexus. So I don't know, maybe they'll fix that, who knows. I mean, it doesn't really seem, it seems like too much of a like an back behind the scenes kind of thing to say that's the surprise. Yeah,
we just have Mark Abund pop up and go, yes, I fixed the bug, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, have you been playing 2.1 a lot?
Not a lot, because we just came back from the holidays. I'm sure people were like, oh my god, but it was your holiday, why weren't you playing video games? Well, I was with family and stuff, and I had some other curricular things to do.
I was in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands doing what?
Being drunk.
Fair enough. But yeah,
anyway,
back to the subject of 2.1.
Yes.
Well, I don't think I brought this up when the stream started. If not, forgive me. But I did, in fact, just get myself a Thrustmaster T16000. That's 3 zeros. M. I think it's the only ambidextrous stick on the market for that price point. Oh, really? Yeah, so now
Why did you get that?
Why or where?
Why?
I got that because I had a Logitech 3D Pro just kind of lying about, in my room as you do. Yeah, even though I've been flying primarily keyboard and mouse. So like, it was strange. I was walking in game, and I saw this really, really dusty box. Like, in the UK, Game is, a game outlet. I'm sure you're surprised. But yeah, there was this really dusty box in the PC corner where no one ever goes, because all you buy in the PC corner are little, like, cards for Steam vouchers and stuff like that. But underneath all that, behind, in this, like, in Lincoln, of all places, was this really dusty box. I was like, why has no one touched that box? So I picked it up, I risked it, I dusted it off, and lo and behold, it said Thrustmaster 16,000, and I'm like, why is that here? I took it to the counter, and they're like, good luck if we have that in the back. And they did. And there's my story. I got a really cheap deal on the Thrustmaster, and so I could try out the twin stickies.
Oh, that's why you got it.
Oh yeah, to try twin sticks. So why else would I? Yeah.
So like the way the Avengers setup is with the 2 sticks.
Yeah, I think most ships at the moment, if you like look down, they use twin sticks. I just smacked my microphone real hard. They use twin sticks, and the Hornet uses a HOTAS setup or something.
The Hornet uses HOTAS setup. The Mustang uses a HOTAS setup. The
Aurora uses twin sticks.
I uses one of those Boeing. Oh, now I'm going to spec the microphone. The airliner thingies. Like whatever it's called. I'm sure the YouTube comments will be filled with people telling us what those things are called.
Of course.
The Freelancer uses the same thing. I don't know what the Aurora uses.
The Aurora uses twin sticks. It does, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's just the Aurora and the Avenger, actually.
I think the M50 does as well, because that's what I was calibrating my twin sticks with, and I looked down and I was like, oh my god, it's almost immersive, because I would hit to yaw one way, and then my guy would be yawing the opposite direction, and then I get a brain fart and I crash into an asteroid.
That's what I saw. Yeah, that's one of the things that I was in the Avenger. You got twin sticks, and even though you're using a mouse, and you think the stick was supposed to go one way, but it goes the other way.
Yeah,
it goes the exact opposite way. What?
I did learn eventually that you could, go into the settings and then inverse things so it looks exactly like how it works, but then that's not entirely intuitive. I do wonder though, in the future, when the game is out and we have, ship customization and stuff like that that's been promised in the stretch goals, whether or not you'll be able to actually customize your cockpit in such a way that when you look down, you're actually using cockpits using twin joysticks or HOTAS or whatever setup that you've chosen to use in reality. And I know that keyboard and mouse might not be, or a joystick. We're not going to get a Megas XLR kind of deal, but yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe I still think that for a specific ship, a specific type of control system is going to be used, but when it comes to customizing, maybe you'll be able to change the way the sticks look.
Okay.
But I kind of doubt that they'll let you change the entire control arrangement, because if you have a stick and a HOTAS, basically you have a HOTAS on the left and a stick between your legs, but if you have 2 sticks, you have 2 sticks on either side, and that means changing quite a lot of the geometry of the cockpit.
But if they have the animations down already, I mean,
the animations down, but for every ship they would need to create several different.
I just want my twin sticks, man.
How are you with the twin sticks, though?
Yesterday, very bad. Today, quite bad. I might do some streaming later on and get a little bit better, but this afternoon, it wasn't too bad. I mean, given the change to the in-flight computer systems and stuff like that, anyway, I was crashing about the place like an idiot with a keyboard and mouse, but there's a certain feeling when using, the sticks or whatever that you can't really get using a keyboard and mouse. I don't really know what it is.
When it comes to control system, how do you like it?
When it comes to a control system? Well, the only thing I have to compare it with is hands-on keyboard and mouse and hands-on keyboard and the one joystick. I never really spent enough time with the one joystick to give any kind of review kind of like input on it. But comparing it to the keyboard and mouse, with the keyboard and mouse, I think I got pretty proficient with the keyboard and mouse, comfortable. You know, when you fly, it's like, you know, second skin kind of thing. Like, it's not on rails like in certain games and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, you get a real feel for it, and you get a feel for your ship. Changing to the twin joysticks, that feel completely changes, and you kind of have to relearn the entire thing over again. And it's not frustrating starting off, but just exciting in a strange way. Like, you know, you're relearning how to ride a bike, well, a quantum traveling bike, but yeah, you're relearning how to ride a bike, and it's exciting. And I guess that's what, you know, to me adds that extra sense of immersion, because I'm relearning how to do something that's not just keyboard and mouse that I've been, you know, using for the past 20 years of my gaming life. Yeah.
Do you think it's more intuitive to fly a ship in the way that Star Citizen's flight model is set up than a single joystick or a mouse and keyboard?
Well, that's back to the argument about, you know, oh, is the HOTAS really the best setup for 6 degrees of freedom?
Which I don't think it is.
It's not really. I think with the twin sticks you get because you can now move using. Excuse me, stupid King Goblin. With the twin sticks, you get that extra like dimension, because you can then twist with your left arm and stuff like that. It helps, but you still can't intuitively, like, you know, say I want to strafe up and strafe down. It's not like I can yank the stick upwards and like push it downwards. That would be really cool, but right now I'm kind of like twisting left and twisting right to go up and down. That wasn't too intuitive to begin with, but over time you kind of get used to it.
Maybe if you set it up differently, like for instance, if you would push forward, then it would strafe
Go
down,
up.
and push backwards, it would strafe up.
Yeah.
Well, it depends what feels natural.
Oh no,
to
yeah,
you.
of course. But then that would mean I would have to. That would mean that I have to twist it like a motorcycle,
Yeah,
to go
like
forward.
a motorcycle throttle. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting idea. I guess I would have to mount it like differently. Right now it's just like on my desk, but that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, well, because we a few episodes, or even a few years ago, Lucianette and I were talking about what kind of controller would be best for an advanced game such as Star Citizen.
Yeah.
And there have been several attempts at a proper 6 degree of freedom controller, where you have an element that you hold on to, and you can twist it around, and you can move it up, down, left, right, forward, and backward. So you have a single point of control that does all 6 axes.
Right. I believe I saw something similar to that being proposed in the subreddit, but I don't think it got too much traction.
No, because the person who was developing it basically suffered a terminal case of in real life and had to abandon the project. But it had a lot of promise, I think. On the other hand, I've been thinking about getting the Steam controller.
Oh yeah, that's promising in a way, I suppose, because it's a bit more granular.
It is a bit out of the box when it comes to controllers, because it has 2 touchpads.
Yeah.
2 touchpads and a stick. And the 2 touchpads could, in theory, act as your 2 sticks.
Yeah.
And then you have the pad, the joystick, the thumb pad, whatever, for other controls.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in if it could be adapted to Star Citizen in a meaningful way.
I feel like anything really is good enough to be adapted into Star Citizen, but at the same time, I am strongly against the idea that there is going to be one singular control that will be able to help you play Star Citizen, like, you know, every single aspect of Star Citizen.
Yeah.
And
there's no way that's gonna happen, because I
Yeah.
still feel that for shooting, especially with the gimbals,
Yeah.
mouse is king.
Yeah.
There is no way you're gonna beat mouse's precision.
Well, it depends on the skill of the pilot, to be fair. I mean, I know that there are a couple of people who, you know, they're like, oh, I'm hardcore, I use my HOTAS, and I'll kick your ass. Yeah.
Exactly.
That rhymed.
You have to. You have to be a hardcore player with a HOTAS to get to a level that even a beginner player with a mouse would be when it comes to accuracy with the weapons.
Yeah, there's a higher skill ceiling.
But when it comes to flying and basically just precision maneuvering around a space station or an asteroid, for instance,
it's easier to get in. Yeah, with the keyboard and mouse, correct?
It's not actually because when you have strafing, it's basically on and off. There is no analog control, which is why I believe, for instance, a dual stick control for strafing would be a lot easier than a keyboard and mouse, and which is why I'm very interested in the Steam controller because it has the two touchpads, which will allow you up, down, left, right, forward, backwards, pitchy or roll, control, all of that in an analog manner.
I see. Yeah, and that will, get you more granularity, I suppose, perhaps, than having an analog stick because, that's just your thumb on a surface as opposed to your thumb kind of pushing a stick. It might be a little bit easier.
The thing is, I don't have one, but I'm very much considering getting one.
A Steam controller?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. You can do it for me. You can be my beta tester, man. But I'm perfectly content with my sticks and my gamepad that's on the floor there. But yeah, using these twin sticks really brought this, made this topic more apparent to me than ever. Because as I was rebinding all the keys, and I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be shooting. That's going to be my countermeasures. All of a sudden, not after too long, I ran out of places, that were intuitive for me for certain things. And then there were certain other things that simply just, I didn't have space on the sticks for. Like, I can just about manage in my mind to, do, shields forward, shields aft, shields left, port, shields starboard. But then, if you look at all the things, there are also bindings for shields up and shields down, and then like several different power settings, and you just can't do that. Especially when, at the moment anyway, you can't do multi-key binds with your joysticks. So yeah, using twin sticks might be great for single-person flying or maneuvering, or if you're solely the helm. But you're going to need a completely different layout with, a completely different layout if you're playing engineering. Using twin sticks as an engineer is going to be a really stupid, thing to do.
I think if you're just an engineering console, you're going to have to use the mouse.
Yeah. That's why I feel that the Star Citizen like modular, keyboard, mouse, HOTAS, thruster, stick setup will be perfect for the game because. At any second's notice, like you're using keyboard and mouse, you can just like snap off the numpad part, get your joystick, slam that on, and then you have that set up for what you're doing at the moment, in the most compact and easiest, like a profile. I'm really looking forward to it. I just spent £30 on that new Thrustmaster, but I'm still like really looking forward to at least seeing what Mad Catz and it is Mad Catz, right?
Cytec.
Yeah, Cytec is the umbrella company, isn't it? True, yeah. So what Cytec and CIG will come up with?
Although I still believe that a HOTAS is only good for atmospheric flight. It's not for 6 degrees of freedom, which I believe the flight model for dogfighting in space is meant for.
Yeah.
Twin sticks, 6 degrees of freedom controller. Or maybe a mouse and another mouse?
Yeah.
With
twin mouse.
Twin mouse.
That would be something.
I have 2 mice. I just got an MX Master, and my old MX Revolution is still quite functional. I only got it because it was wearing down, because as materials wear down, but not because its functionality was being impeded in any sort of way.
I see.
But a twin mouse
setup, man. Like get like a left-handed Razer Naga on your left hand and like a right-handed Razer Naga on your right. You're set.
Yeah.
You're set. But you still don't have the up-down thing for going up and down. You'd probably have to just set that to something that, you'd find intuitive. Maybe on the left hand, like scroll up, scroll down.
Yeah, well, you do have a scroll wheel. And, on the MX Master, you have 2 scroll wheels.
Really?
Yeah, you have one on the thumb as well.
It's really cool on the Logitech G502, like I have here. Like, it's got this, you press the button here, and a mechanical switch goes. And then, like, the
MX Master has the same thing.
It does?
Yeah. Well, the MX Revolution was the first one to introduce the free scroll wheel.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, well, now that you got me thinking, the MX Master, which has the scroll wheel on the thumb, goes. It basically, by default, it's bound to horizontal scrolling.
Yeah.
You could bind that to just basically strafing left and right.
I know some mice have on the scroll wheel a left and right kind of clicky.
Yeah, that's something that MX Master doesn't have. On the main scrolling wheel, they removed the left and right scrolling in favor of an actual scroll wheel on the thumb.
Right.
So basically, scroll wheel, instead of zooming in, which is the worst idea ever, because, what person's eyes can zoom in? Seriously. Have that set to strafing up and down, and the thumb scroll wheel strafing left and right. Damn it, now you got me thinking I'm going to have to experiment with it. I was going to drink tonight, not actually experiment with controls for Star Citizen. Damn you!
Do it while drunk, The true test way. Just do it while drunk. Yeah.
I shall drink my way into
Oblivion,
and while at the same time discovering the perfect control system for Star Citizen, apparently.
It's the best way.
Anyway, I have been playing 2.1. I want to play more of it, but it's so frustrating when you spawn in to 2.1 and it's a fresh server. Have you experienced that?
You spawn into a fresh
server
once.
I got 110 frames per second, and then 5 minutes later, 3.
I'll tell you my favorite personal baby PU experience was I managed to log on at the second that they pumped out a new PTU version. So just as I logged on, it booted everybody else off, but I was still able to play on my own PTU, whatever version it was, alone for like an hour. I wasn't streaming or anything, so but I managed to do everything, and it was great. It was amazing. Yeah.
I've been actually trying to finish the Kovalex mission. I got to the sad ending once, and I'm trying to get to the happy ending. There's 2 endings to the mission, depending on how many different data pads you find. Basically, it's actually quite intricate.
Okay.
But I was thinking that if all these sort of missions that are generated by the system in the main persistent universe are like that, it's going to be very interesting, because it is very, just like Chris Roberts said, it's very unlike anything that's been attempted before, because it is all in universe. All the information that you get is all diegetic. It's not go to the person with a question mark above their head and have a chat with them and then go somewhere else. Everything is done through in-game communication systems.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Why hasn't anybody done this before?
I feel like games have done it before in the past in a certain way. Up to and maybe partially including World of Warcraft. And I wanted to make a little thing about this, a video about this, and about immersion in video games and stuff like that. What I mean, exactly, is that, okay, you can't really compare, a game in a fantasy environment like World of Warcraft with Star Citizen at all.
Setting, I don't think setting matters. It's basically just whatever happens.
Yeah, but
I did play World of Warcraft, and it's still just the basic same old thing of going up to a person with a question mark above their head and getting the quest from them.
Yeah, but you see, it's been watered down from the primary experience, which is what I'm talking about. Like when WoW first came out in 2004, February the 14th or something like that. Like you. You go in and you talk to the guy, the quest giver, and he's like, hi there. Sure, it opens a parchment because, of course, money wise and stuff like that, you're not going to get a fully voiced over MMO in 2004. But he says, we've had these troubles and stuff like that. Go to the northeast and do this quest, do that. So then you have to look at your map and then go, where's northeast? And then you go there and you do the quest. Later on, they added the battlegrounds, and you had to go to Warsong Valley to get into the queue to do your matches. You had to go to Alterac Valley to enter the queue. You had to move from A to B, and there was that little sense of immersion into the game. Yeah. Later on, I don't know, maybe the vocal minority or whatever. Later on, they made it so that you could just stand wherever you wanted to be, and then basically enter the queue for the battleground. And eventually that then extended to dungeons. First of all, you had to just go there manually, then there were meeting stones and summoning and stuff like that. But then eventually you had, that went the way of the drop-down menu waiting list kind of thing again. What they were doing was, they already had their player base. What they were doing afterwards was just kind of like sapping out any kind of like fidelity from the game. You're no longer this character kind of going from A to B. You were no longer that character. You're a guy looking at screens until you went to your dungeon because that's what they did. And then other companies then followed that kind of same formula because that's the formula that was working. Yeah, they made these worlds, they were more beautiful, more polygons maybe perhaps than World of Warcraft, but they had already released those games sans soul. They had no soul because they had already come with those like loading screens and not loading screens, like they'd already come with those menus and drop down lists already in tow. So there was never any need to kind of like explore or like feel like you're the character. But in Star Citizen, they've brought that all back. They've gone, what is World of Warcraft? What is this? What is that? We are our own game. And yeah. And so like you were saying...
It's not just a clone of any other MMO. It's
Yeah.
just going to be a completely different
Yeah,
experience.
it's gone back to roots, back to, I think, Star Wars Galaxies or whatever. Back to... It's a sandbox game, yeah? So... there is a way of logging your quests and stuff like that, but it's not in your face. It's not spoon-feeding you the same way that other games seem to have done. Yeah, it's only in pre-alpha, but as long as they stay this course, the course where you have to like, oh no, there's a signal. You have to go to this place. Oh, I have to get out of my ship. Oh wow, there's like a wreckage. I have to EVA, move my slow ass over to the ship. Find the box, enter the box, go back in. All the while, you have all this like cinematic, scenic music, ambience and stuff like that. In an alpha alone, I haven't felt so immersed in a game than anything I've played in the past, 4 or 5 years. It's just different, and I'm really, really looking forward to the game coming out.
For all the talk of immersion that Chris Roberts is spouting, some people say that he is basically just spouting it and nothing happens. I believe that it's going to be the same because on different levels, at different times in Star Citizen, that happened in the previous episode. Something fell.
What fell?
What fell? I felt as if I was there.
Yeah.
The first time that happened was when I was just in free flight in... Was it Broken Star?
Broken Moon or
Broken
Dying Star?
Moon? The blue one.
Broken Moon.
Broken Moon,
Yeah.
whatever. I was just in free flight and free look, and I was in my Avenger, just flying between the asteroids. The planet was above me. And I just free looked up, and I just sat still.
Yeah.
It felt like I was there. That is the sort of attention to detail and immersion that gets there. And then, the first time I stepped onto the landing pads at Port Olisar and saw Crusader.
Oh yeah, Crusader just spinning slowly.
Looming
Yeah.
there.
Perhaps maybe.
giant and ominous, and it was
Yeah.
just like, yeah. I didn't care that it was a constellation in front of me, which I brought up in the ship request menu before. It was just, I was there, I was on a spaceship, I was orbiting as giant, and that's it. Yeah, this is gonna be a cool game.
It's gonna be a cool game. It's a cool alpha, but it's gonna be a cool game.
I hope that the full version doesn't lose this sense of wonder that the alpha is able to bring out in me.
I feel like they don't have a reason to
No,
water
they
it
don't.
down.
They don't. They don't. But I'm just afraid that with all this pressure that's coming from the impatient side of the Star
Oh, yeah.
Citizen community, they don't start suddenly thinking, well, maybe it is taking a bit too long, and maybe we should cut some corners here and there.
They haven't yet.
They haven't yet,
They
no,
haven't
but I'm
yet.
just afraid that they might. And I don't care if the release date is in 2017 or 2018. Just make it the way you want it, please. Because what you're doing right now works.
It does. It does. Yeah, and that's just one of the because of the format of which the pay model and stuff like that. It's crowdfunded, it's crowdsourced. They have the money for the game. It's not like you're a studio with a producer who's given you the money and they've given you a deadline, and then they then shorten the deadline, and then so you then have to cut bits and pieces and release a game that you otherwise wouldn't have done. It's like Warhammer Age of Reckoning. That game was promising to be a freaking amazing MMO, just in terms of what they promised. Yeah, they promised things that you hadn't seen in other games. They promised elements that they promised in DayZ, which lo and behold, that hasn't fallen through either. Things like your character aging as you level up, like things like your orc gets bigger and your imp gets more gnarly. Things like that, little things, they never went through. When the game released, it was shocking. It was absolutely horrible. I remember I got a laptop and it was like, this game will work perfectly with Warhammer Age of Reckoning. Like, the actual laptop came with a sticker on it that had an imp from Warhammer Age of Reckoning. And when I got the game, my brother was like 30 meters away from me in the game, and he was walking towards me. In World of Warcraft, like, characters walk like, like, it was like watching like Mr. Game & Watch, like go until he was like 10 meters away from me. Then he was like walking normally. I really, 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 really didn't like that game. The game hyped itself up so much. Like, all my friends from WoW, like really clamoring for that game. When it got released, no. Sad time.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that Star Citizen is buried in so much more hype than any other game. Although I am biased, I am right in the middle of it. I lost the sort of perspective of an outside observer.
Of course, a long time ago.
Yeah, a long
in a galaxy
time
far,
ago.
far away.
I mean, I even subscribed 3 days ago.
Subscribed. Okay.
I'm a subscriber now. Yes.
I see. You get those flares. Are you a double
That is how much.
subscriber, or is
No,
a
just the cheaper rank.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
For now, we'll see how much benefit there actually is to it. But the way it is, I think that I've reached as high as I want to in terms of ship-based funding.
Okay.
Because I do have my Carrack now, even though it's nowhere near playable, even in Hangar now. But, yeah. Carrack, Mustang Beta, Archimedes, and Avenger. And, yeah, well, right now there is no other ship that I really want to have in my repertoire. So I think that I still want to give money to CIG. I want to help with the funding. So, yeah. I figured it was just about time to become a subscriber.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're way past the point now, just being an outside observer. Anything that you say, regardless of, how you may feel, is going to be
Tainted.
biased,
Biased, yes. It's going to be biased. I would like to maybe talk to somebody that's not as biased as I am. and see what they think.
Yeah.
Somebody that has the same sort of anticipation for a game of the scope and content of Star Citizen, but isn't as invested in it, so to speak. just to see what it's like from an outside perspective, because I think it's going to be the best game ever, and I have no reason to doubt. But is it though?
I feel like there are 2, maybe 3 houses of gamer when it comes to Star Citizen. First of all, you have, the how many so million backers, well, like 1 or less than 1.
One,
like
yes,
actual,
1.0.
yeah, of actual Star Citizen backers. And these guys are fervent for the game, yeah. They put their money down and, they follow, all the development of the game and stuff like that. And, they're like, this is going to be the best game in the world. How dare you say otherwise? Then you have these other guys who are like, right, so this game is a crowdfunded game and people have thrown $100 million at it. Wow, that's kind of steep for a crowdfunded game, don't you think? I'm not gonna look into any of, what the game is offering and stuff like that. I'm going to look into what the game is offering, but I'm not gonna see what they have delivered and say, oh my god, what a massive feature creep. This game is never gonna come out. Oh my god, this game is just completely... What are you doing with your life? You should probably not play this game. And those guys irritate me. And then you have these guys on the other side who, they just would rather just stay out of it until the game is out. And I appreciate, that stance because, I know some pretty up there people like TB and stuff like that. They do not really... They do not give, early access games the light of day.
I was actually thinking about that because I was listening to one of the co-optional podcasts and they were doing like a QA thing and Q&A, not QA. And one of the questions was, what does Total Biscuit think of Star Citizen? And he basically said that I am going to wait until the game is out, and until then I'm just not gonna bother with it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that, I'm sort of on the fence because the way we appreciate Star Citizen, how we are involved, we know just how deep the development is going and what they're trying to attempt. I don't, because I'm afraid that people who just buy the game once it's released, even if it is everything that we hope for, they will not appreciate, they will not understand what sort of scope the game has set out to be and has covered.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate his stance as a gamer. I appreciate that he doesn't want to get into it because it's only, early alpha, it's promised a lot of things, and he'd rather just wait. But at the same time, he has done reviews for things that have been in beta, like, Rainbow Six, Warframe, and stuff like that. True. And the fact that he is such a public figure makes it that his dedicated 500,000 or so followers and subscribers and
there's
people.
Much.
Yeah, exactly. His
several million.
His several million following basically will have that mindset. The people you watch and the people you listen are generally the people who kind of carve your own
confirmation bias.
Yes. And so they kind of conceive these ideas in your mind, and then you then go parrot them to other people. And I feel that it's kind of dangerous when you have somebody who is, just has so much power, who's I'll wait. But then again, he's not saying it's bad or it's good. He's just waiting. So fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair enough. He wants to wait for the finished product, the thing that I've promised to deliver. I'm just worried that people who do take that stance, they won't comprehend just the scope of it like we do, who have, the people who have been following the development from day one.
Yeah.
Although, on the other hand, if the game does deliver what it's supposed to, it's going to be fairly obvious.
Yeah.
Just how complex and comprehensive the game is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, although I do appreciate that he can't give his time to every single game out there. Like once you become that kind of person, like everybody and their mother and their dog and their veterinarian is going to be asking you to review their games. So I can understand if you don't have the time to follow the development of one obscure space game. But yeah.
Then again, you did say that he has reviewed games that are in beta.
In the past, he has, but those are games that kind of tickled his fancy.
But however, Star Citizen is in pre-alpha. It's still gonna take a while until it gets into beta. Beta basically means all the features are there, not including sort of DLC type feature creep.
Yeah.
Beta means all the features are there and we're just dealing with bugs right now.
Yeah.
Pre-alpha means... Well, alpha means not all the features are there. We're still adding features with bugs. Adding bugs. Yeah. And pre-alpha is basically just game is still being developed. Why are you even bothering reviewing it?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we've really dragged this conversation out.
I was having fun doing it.
You were having fun, yeah. Well, we'll tune in 2 weeks for a continuation. But thank you so much for watching both on Twitch and on YouTube. Even though there aren't many of you, but just how many of you there are, we appreciate it very much. And we will see you
in the verse.